Moon Girl Astrology here with your new moon in Gemini Astro report. Sun and moon are conjunct in the sign of the twins at 2 degrees of Gemini on this new moon, May 22nd, 10:38 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So add 3 hours if you're on the East Coast in the United States. Mercury and Venus are also in the sign of Gemini at 20 degrees, conjunct there together. So we have this powerful amplification of energies in all things Gemini at the onset of this Gemini season. So Gemini is here for us to stay agile, flexible, and to adapt. Gemini loves change. In fact, it's Gemini's specialization. So now we are really able to adapt and pivot to this new external world we find ourselves in. So take a deep breath, stay flexible, stay agile, and curious. This is one of the main key words for this new moon is curiosity. Inquiring, listening and responding, asking questions, and then receiving the answer to support us in our day-to-day interactions. Gemini rules over those day-to-day logistics and engagements we have, for example, with our essential workers. So here we can see our essential workers really starting to adapt and pivot to support us logistically so we can get from A to B in this new external reality, this new circumstance we find ourselves in with the pandemic and the stay-at-home order. Saturn is retrograde now, has been retrograde for a few weeks, reversing and imposing a whole new set of boundaries as it backs up through Aquarius, lifting the social distancing by imposing new restrictions until July 1st when it moves back into the sign of Capricorn, at which point Saturn will begin the heavy-duty lifting and work of rebuilding the government, economy, and the institutions that it just took a wrecking ball to with Pluto by its side. Gemini energy is fun and flirtatious, versatile, quick-witted, and curious. So, the nodes of the moon have shifted our collective destiny into the sign of Gemini as of May 5th for 20 months of collective evolution and transformation away from the sign of Sagittarius in the South Node and into the Gemini flow. So here we have this huge activation of Gemini energy, which is, of course, the third sign in the zodiac. So it's very human in that way. It's really about the simplicity of how we get from A to B, how we interact with people in our day-to-day reality, and starting to really place value on the people that we engage with every day of our lives, and learning not only just to chitter-chatter, speak, and use the people in our life to stimulate our intellect, but really start to listen, to ask meaningful questions and start to value the everyday interactions we have. So bringing in even that energy of honoring the mundane as even being sacred, or really just starting to dive deeper so that we don't just stay on this superficial level or superficial veneer of life, escaping into our gadgets, escaping into Instagram or social media, and having all these imaginary friendships on our phone while we ignore the people that are in our real life. So you've all seen those images of people on their phones just lonely while life is happening around them, and they're just ignoring the magnificent beauty that can unfold in our day-to-day. So don't let that be you this Gemini season. Take a little digital detox. Gemini, being an intellectual cerebral air sign, can get spun out on technology. This mercurial sign ruled by the planet Mercury that governs over our gadgets, technology, as far as we use technology for communications in the day-to-day. not necessarily innovations like Aquarius in technology or futuristic scientific technology, but really how we use technology in our day-to-day. Gemini loves to get a little bit carried away with this because Gemini loves to change. It loves the swipe, it loves the scroll, and it can get spun out or lost in this Vata deranged, imbalanced way of connecting. Put the phone down, put the imaginary friends down on Instagram, and start to get grounded and anchored in your everyday reality. So to counterbalance this excessive air that we have in the sky right now, I want you to really start to get present in the moment. Mindfulness is the medicine. So the mind is fluctuating all the time with this Gemini, with this very cerebral, quick-witted, mercurial, thought-based energy that we have. Let's bring that energy down into the heart and really drop it down even into our roots so we can get super grounded in the physical body. We just moved through Taurus season, so that slow and steady energy, let's bring that with us into Gemini season, as at the same time we start to really engage our mental faculties so we can do so in a grounded and even pragmatic way rather than just get lost on the current of air, that breeze, and just getting blown hither and thither from this thought to that thought. Let's use our intellectual faculties and capabilities to really create what we truly desire, and also learn new knowledge and skills. This is a very powerful new moon to set intentions during this quiet night of this new moon to grow and blossom over Gemini season and over this next lunation as this energy unfolds, to acquire knowledge and skills. So rather than try to learn on your employer's dime, take that initiative to really get epically skilled in your area of expertise and specialization. So learning a new skill on lynda.com or Coursera or Udemy, going online to get that short form certification and taking it upon yourself to sharpen your skills and knowledge during this transit, especially as Gemini rules over knowledge and skills that we need to apply in our day-to-day lives, especially to adapt to the new scenarios we find ourselves in. So for example, if you're a marketer learning live streaming, getting certified in live, delivering video to Facebook Live, right? Or like you've always wanted to take that graphic design class, this is the perfect time to do that. So practicing that mindfulness, bringing presence and awareness even as we acquire these new skills so that we can actually retain the information is vital and key. And then learning to truly actively listen. So rather than just putting on that online course and then getting lost on your Instagram and while the course plays in the background, how can you stay actually present in and engaging with the material that is being presented to you? I think that'll be a really valuable use of our time here with this transit. And of course, it being a new moon, it's the beginning of a cycle. So taking the time to really honor the cycles of time and using your intellectual and cerebral ability to start to get amazed and in curiosity and wonder at awe at how these cycles of time play out in astrology, and then using the cycles of time of the moon and even astrology as a timing element to manage our time in space. I think that can be a really fun intellectual application of our intellect at this time. Two is to start to just become fascinated with cycles of time and explore a new way of working with the moon, not only on an energetic level or emotional level like we might with a water sign, but here just on the level of pure intellectual fascination. The cosmic consciousness, letting it just start to really open up the mental faculties to a whole new level there. Ah, beautiful. So Mercury is at home in Gemini. So this moon is ruled by Mercury, this season is ruled by Mercury, and then at this new moon, Mercury is still transiting through the sign of Gemini, and it will be here till the 28th. So we still have another week of this transit before Mercury moves into the sign of Cancer and goes retrograde. Here we have this forward motion with Mercury. Mercury is in its best possible place now, as it has been for a little bit. This is the time to really clean up, brush up your communication skills, get all of your communication plan ready, because when we move into Mercury in Cancer, things are going to get a little less clear, a little more emotional, and with Mercury retrograde, we're going to want to get our ducks in a row now. Take this new moon and this cycle, especially this next week with Mercury in Gemini, to up level your communication skills, update your software, back up your hard drives, back up all that hard work you've done, back it up, honor the work you've done. I know I have like 10 external hard drives, so managing all that media is going to be vital now. Or updating the software on your computer, making sure that you're taking really good care of all your gadgets and gizmos. Like, for example, this lens I have here, it like has a little even scratch on it because I just didn't really take good care of it. Luckily, it doesn't show up in the actual recording, but take really good care of your gadgets and gizmos. Get the things that you need, start to gather them in, especially when the moon starts to wax and moving into that first quarter moon. It's a great time to gather all the gadgets and gizmos and tech and tools that you're going to need to communicate, especially in this new world we find ourselves in. Being able to stay connected using this gift of technology is vital and key. So getting that lav mic that you're going to need to have better quality audio, getting those headphones that you need, right? Then with Mercury conjunct Venus retrograde in Gemini at 20 degrees of Gemini, we have this amplification of Venusian energy. So wanting balance and harmony in our relationships and with our money as too, and everywhere we place value upon, Venus ruling over our perceived value or our values, our sense of worthiness and deservingness, using this amplified Gemini energy to really start to listen and respond, build meaningful, engaged relationships through a very powerful and constructive dialogue. With Venus retrograde in Gemini, we're being asked to rediscover our inherent worthiness and value. So we're reflecting on our self-worth, not only because we might be feeling a little bit insecure as Venus moves retrograde, and it's biannual optical illusion of the retrograde, and it's biannual retrograde here for this transit. It is time to go back and reclaim those parts of ourselves that we have devalued, or we've experienced shame or pain and trauma, and we've hidden those parts of ourselves because we didn't think they were worthy and deserving. So then we fragmented ourselves. It's time for Venus to descend into the underworld like Inanna and then reclaim back those hidden aspects of self so she can become whole again. So all the shame that the divine feminine has experienced here, wow, it's a lot. Hopefully you've been showing up to do the powerful healing work, and so you're already ahead of the game. If not, I really encourage you to sit and be present with your feminine essence, your feminine flow, that beingness, that yin, that surrendered feminine part of yourself, and starting to value your body, your biology if you're a woman, and your hormones, especially your hormonal rhythms and flow, and even using that mental faculty of Gemini to start to research and understand not only where the feminine has been devalued, but how now there's this huge movement to reclaim our femininity, especially with the book Flow Living. So doing the medical scientific research even to understand your hormonal phases and start to realize how you've been unconsciously discriminated against as a woman biologically too can be really helpful now, especially as more and more research is coming forward about women's hormones that take place also in alignment with the infradian rhythm of the moon cycle. So this is a fascinating mental inquiry for you, beloveds, for not only for women, but anyone who wants to start to value the feminine during this Venus retrograde. Get the book Flow Living or even Woman Code and start to look at the science and the intellectual inquiry into the 4 phases in your hormones and how it takes place over 28 days, just like the moon cycle. And then starting to really tap into this new moon energy, and then looking at where you are at in your hormonal symphony, and then seeing how the 24-hour static testosterone cycle that is our predominant mainstream model of productivity may not be the best for you. Start to really use your intellectual abilities to reclaim your femininity during this Venus retrograde in Gemini as a mental practice, and then using that to understand and gain the knowledge to remove the ignorance that enslaves us, that really binds us right here. So we have this powerful mental ability to gain information. We can uselessly acquire endless information, like on Instagram, endlessly acquiring useless information in the information age and the information culture. But oftentimes that information can spin us out and lead us into delusion and get us hella lost, right? Rather, we want to apply knowledge, information, useful information at the right moment in time in order for it to be knowledge. So Gemini's house is the house of knowledge. It's the 3rd house. It's the library. Endlessly acquiring useless information and using it as a source of mental stimulation and entertainment with the news, like the Colosseum, watching this horror show of like violence and using it as a source of entertainment like in Roman times. Rather, let us acquire specific information in the best way possible and then apply it correctly at the right moment in time so that we can be someone with real knowledge. And then hopefully take that to the next level of let it be truly lived and embodied wisdom. Maybe not with Gemini, but really here we're looking at the day-to-day. So specifically, especially with the North Node in Gemini, moving us with our collective destiny into the sign of Gemini over the next 20 months until January 2021. Using this new moon to activate your understanding of the Gemini energy. It's all about the grassroots, my friends. We're moving away from that global supply chain, that globalization that's so destructive, although has helped us with maybe oneness consciousness and understanding to foreign cultures. Yes, wonderful. But now is the time for us to get local. Really get that community garden going, that victory garden going, so you can share your vegetables with your neighbors. Gemini rules not only over our local supply chain and local logistics, but our neighbors, our relationships with our neighbors. Go to that community garden, get your plot, grow your garden in your backyard so you have those fruits and those vegetables to then not only nourish and feed yourself with the most local supply chain you can have, not only for the sustainability of that, but just for the pure joy of being self-reliant, and then sharing it with your neighbors. That is the real lesson. Get your neighbors' digits, start building meaningful and engaged relationships with the people in your neighborhood, right? I live in like a tourist street, so now especially you see who's really local during the pandemic as tourism has kind of come to a halt. But even in my own neighborhood, and being someone who loves global and international travel, Sagittarius, South Node and Sagittarius, we're moving away from that. I even moved into like the most touristic neighborhood there is in beautiful Portland, so I get to feel like a tourist and be like superficially engaged with people rather than really connect. So I just, got my neighbor's digits. I started texting her. She's lovely and wonderful. I'm sure you're much better at this than I am. How do you engage your neighbors? How do you have meaningful, respectful, lovely relationships to build those community networks? Our libraries are going to become more important than ever. I just saw Michelle and Obama just opened a new library in Chicago, so they're all about it. I freaking love the library. I love the Libby app. Gemini rules over the library. Gemini is the library, basically. That's Gemini's house. It's the library. And the Libby app, if you're in the United States, you can have free audiobooks for days, like up to 20 free audiobooks on your phone that you can get for free all day, and as well as ebooks or just when the library reopens, you can get physical materials as well. Even maybe going to give a presentation at your local library. That would be a powerful use, not only of this Gemini season, but of this 20 months of the North Node in Gemini. By the end of this Gemini activation, January 2021, you better bet our local supply chains are going to be more important than ever. There's going to be a huge shift and focus into really having that local setup. So knowing where's your local co-op? Getting in at your farmer's market. Like, we're all going to be so excited when we can go to the farmer's market, right? Building those meaningful relationships with your farmers, knowing where your food comes from. Also starting like local community activism, getting involved, volunteering in your local community is going to be a really beautiful way to work with this energy. So what's going on in your neighborhood? What's going on in your community? How can you start to actually value that rather than escape on your phone or plan your next great international trip that's not going to happen? The South Node in Sagittarius, it means that, and with Jupiter retrograde now as well, it means that we're really moving away from this era of global travel for now. And by the end of this North Node shifting our collective destiny, we're definitely going to learn, we're going to start to value our staycations. We're going to start using our car as our way of getting around, or our 4 or 2 wheels. So whether or not you're on a skateboard or in a Porsche, start to really value your local transportation. Gemini rules over local transportation, your car, your wheels. I am a pedestrian. I'm going to get my license. I just learned to drive. That's a big for me. I just learned to drive. So if you don't know how to drive, this might be a great time to finally overcome that and learn how to drive. Or maybe you want to get an airplane. I just flew a plane for the first time, which was really exciting. Your own plane, getting your pilot's license, or just getting that skateboard that you've always wanted, or the new bicycle. I know I am in the market for a new bicycle, or getting your bike tuned up. The world is changing now. They're shutting down more and more streets as the car culture kind of fades out. Hallelujah, praise the Lord, thanks. The environment thanks you. And now many streets are just being reserved for bicycling all over the world. That's so exciting. So all of my bicycle enthusiasts are really going to love this transit. Like, the price of oil and gas is, right, like the price of oil and gas is dropping because there's no cars on the road, right? Or a barrel of, there's no room left in the inventory for oil because it's just not being sold because people aren't driving as they're staying home and quarantining, right? So we're shifting even more and more into getting so local that it's really about walking around your neighborhood and discovering your local areas in a whole new way. Plant your garden, join the community-supported agriculture subscription, get that imperfect produce order going, right? And really start to build relationships with your community this Gemini season. As I said, your local day-to-day connections are going to be so important. You're going to be so deeply rewarded for starting to honor the essential workers who help you and make your life possible in the day-to-day. Beautiful. A little bit about Mars right now. Mars is in the sign of Pisces, so Mars is not doing that well here. I think of it like Mars, the champion boxer, and Pisces, all these fairies coming and blasting Mars, and Mars is lost in this illusional haze. It's like a ninja, like Bruce Lee, has taken some green fairy absinthe. That's really what's happening. Pisces rules over hidden enemies. So the boxer, the fighter, the CIA agent, they cannot see who they're fighting against. Mars, our assertive warrior, our inner warrior, our masculine side, is unable to identify what it's fighting for. So ask yourself, what are you fighting for? And be like Mars and Pisces superstar Bono. Be a champion of love. Fight in the name of love. Fight for a higher love here. Pisces loves that. And fight with your compassionate heart. Fight for your dreams. So this is a time to really start to activate the fire energy. There's not a lot of fire there's pretty no fire in the sky. We only have Chiron in the wounded healer, a minor comet in fire. There's no fire in the sky. There's so much mutable air energy. We have a little bit of earth and some water as well, with Mars and Neptune in water. There's no fire. We need to activate the fiery aspect within us. The masculine is being drowned out. The solar aspect is what I mean by masculine, which is the emissive quality of the sun shining its light, or the heat and passion of Mars. I would love for you to practice Kapalabhati, breath of fire, during this transit. I'm going to show you, demonstrate for you this fire breath. And you can Google breath of fire and also find instructions there. Kapalabhati is a pranayama breathing exercise, and it activates the Agni, the digestive fire, and the fire element. It is a forceful exhale and an automatic inhale through both nostrils with the mouth closed. And as we forcefully exhale through the nose, allowing for this automatic inhale, so there's no inhale really, the inhale just happens on its own, we pulse the navel inward. So we hug the navel in, and the belly pulses as we exhale forcefully. So it goes in, 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 in. So feel it, see if you can do this. See if you can hug your navel and pulse it into your spine. In, 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 in. Contract, 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 contract. Hugging the navel into the spine as you forcefully exhale. Try that with me. We're forcefully exhaling through the navel, building and generating an internal fire and heat as we forcefully exhale through the nose. You should be able to feel the breath on the upper lip. You can put your hand on your belly or even help guide your belly in and feel the breath here. In Kundalini Yoga, they like to do it with their two thumbs out, like little antennas, and their arms up. So Google breath of fire, Kundalini, lots of online demonstrations there. And practice breath of fire. Get any sun action when you can. For us, we're still a little bit cloudy. We have some sunny days. Sunbathing is really a beautiful way to connect with the solar masculine emissive energy. Also, too, with so much mutable energy in the sky, we want to stay really anchored in and grounded during this time. We do have Jupiter and Pluto also here moving both retrograde and tandem all year in the earth sign of Capricorn, and Uranus doing its revolutionary work, revolutionizing the food supply and the banks. And our value system and our nostalgic conventional ways. Uranus in the sign of Taurus too for quite some time. These are all outer planets. All of the inner planets are mostly in air except for Mars here in the water sign of Pisces with Neptune, and of course, how can I say of course? The virus is ruled by Pisces. Pisces rules over invisible things and hidden enemies, as I mentioned, and is this watery, boundless sign, this contagious energy of Pisces can be attributed to Pisces. And so here Mars in Pisces as well indicates this unfortunate phenomena, and to Neptune at home in the sign of Pisces, using this virus to bring us into oneness consciousness and bring us all together, because that's what Pisces wants. And interesting times there with Neptune in Pisces energy, and looking at the quality of Neptune, especially as we look at the tragic virus that is bringing us into oneness consciousness through fear. Pisces being someone who can really fall, Pisces being an energy that can come into fear. It's the sign of endings and release, the final stages there. So Mars is finalizing its tour through the zodiac here. It's moving through the end of days, and then it's going to begin a whole new cycle in Aries. So definitely that'll be a more fiery and exciting time. Mars will be in Aries and retrograde in Aries too. And Mars will be in Aries retrograde during the presidential elections and then move on. So, of course, let's look at the aspects. The sun is conjunct the moon, of course, as is every new moon. They are together in the sky. The moon is blocking the light of the sun, so it's completely dark. There's no light in the sky, which is why it's a time to get quiet and go inward and reflect and plant seeds. And then Mars is square. Mars not really in its best place here, fighting this battle against hidden enemies, this kind of emotional influence, is square this new moon. Again, with Mars in Pisces, I'd love to say Pisces wants to surrender, and Mars is not, that's not Mars's job. Mars's job is to be assertive and assert our willpower. Surrender can be a beautiful thing, and the divine feminine flow of surrender and being and restfulness is beautiful and exquisite. And yet too, if we don't have strong boundaries and we don't assert our free will, and we don't at least say, if we're not the master of our destiny, we're co-creating with the universe, we don't have a lot of say where we end up. Someone who's super spiritual, like Pisces energy, might say, it's hubris for me to assert my will. I should surrender to the divine will. And yet, when we fully surrender, we don't have say where we end up, and we can end up being taken advantage of, exploited, and becoming a victim, even lost in illusions. So getting in that like guru cult is a very Piscean thing here, where you surrender to a guru because you have low self-worth. Venus retrograde here, Venus being the secondary ruler of Pisces, Venus being retrograde and super activated. We really want to know, I am worthy and deserving. You don't need to give away and surrender all of your power here to another. Assert your willpower, assert your masculine deservingness here, and have strong boundaries. Pisces is this endless sea of infinite oneness, the endless ocean of consciousness. There's no boundaries in the ocean, right? So the karma of Pisces is to learn to set strong boundaries to protect and hold the sacred container for itself. Beautiful. So with Mars square this new moon in Gemini, here we have also to an inquiry around not only fighting hidden enemies, but what are we fighting for? Are we just blindly in a rage fighting because we want to we want liberation, and we want to get to go to the beach, and we're like people parading around protesting against the stay-at-home order? Like that could be a phenomenon. It's just like this unrest, this restless energy. There's a lot of restlessness happening this new moon. And then we have supremely harmonious energy being sent to this new moon from Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, all still in a very loose conjunction, doing their magic, transforming the world. So that is a great thing. Luckily, Saturn is sending good energy to this new moon, so that's awesome. And then the Mercury-Venus conjunction are square Neptune. So here we have this energetic, like I was speaking to, the hidden enemies, including invisible things like the virus, Neptune in Pisces, squaring our ability to communicate about our worthiness and deservingness, where we place our value, and communicate, express in our day-to-day interactions with the people in our present reality, not on the internet necessarily, but those people who are involved in our day-to-day logistics. There's a kind of a tension here between the oneness consciousness that even this virus is sadly and tragically bringing us into, being so codependent, and there's no boundaries really between it. Okay. Beautiful. Overall, I would say, of course, like I'm saying, get all grassroots, get super local. This is a mutable time. We're super able to adapt and stay flexible, yet we might be super restless too. Anchor in, stay grounded. There's no fire in the sky. Get fired up, bathe in the sun, bring forward your inner warrior, and set those strong boundaries to contain and hold yourself now. I'm sending you so much love. Definitely check out my Moon Girl Astrology on Patreon, where we're going to be doing our Gemini season yoga flow and our Gemini season new moon activation too, yogic embodiment. And sign up and be part of the Moon Girl community so you can get this epic seasonal high vibe, high value Moon Girl magazine. I'm so proud of this beautiful work. You can still get the May edition for just a few more weeks. That'll be available. So you can read all about all the retrogrades, all the transits, as well as the Gemini New Moon. This is like our workbook here. The Venus retrograde, the Gemini New Moon, Jupiter retrograde, Gemini season, and this new moon in Gemini. I am offering a super crazy, unheard of, affordable natal chart reading rate of just $44 until June 1st, at which time the price will go up to an also extremely good deal at $88. I chose these prices because they are very stabilizing numbers. And then, we'll just keep moving up to reflect industry standard from there. But I wanted to give you this opportunity, this pandemic price, because I want to support you so much to align with the divine intelligence and what is really going on the energetic and spiritual level, so you can be in the cosmic know. And also, with these natal chart readings, really tap into your unique karmic footprint. I was just reading that a natal chart only repeats itself every 250,000 years. There's no one like you in the world. You are unique. Let's see how unique you are through your cosmic fingerprint, your destiny, with a natal chart reading. Go to moongirlastrology.com and you can use my calendar there to sign up. And also, of course, get your Moon Girl magazine and join me on Patreon. I'm sending you so much love.